quite. Now the stream is live. I put on my painted coat for Halloween. Figured I'd wear this. Have the eyeball staring at people.
Yeah. There we have the odd kid running around in a costume, but we don't do Halloween over here. Also, trick or treating would be impossible because of the city logistics. Hey,
Wilson
you're
is
gonna let
teaching
kids run
me,
around.
right?
Yeah. You're gonna get kids run around here at 9:15 p.m. because that's the only time that parents can take them. and if somebody rings on your doorbell, and we're all living in buildings. I'm on the 5th floor.
Right.
Somebody rings my bell at 9:15 p.m. I am not going to open the door. Forget it.
Trick or treating is usually over by 9. Like in the 70s when we were kids, I don't even think our parents went with us that much. We just went, live in a suburban neighborhood with lots of houses and stuff. So we just walk around to the houses but nowadays it's parents drive the kids and drop them, or else they walk with them sometimes. So but a completely different, and there's like trunk or treat now too. They have that.
Huh. Yeah, well, we can't have the kids starting that at 5 or 6 because nobody's home.
Yeah.
We only get off work at 6, so we only get home at 7:30, which means then you have dinner. So you only can take the kid trick or treating at 9:15.
We'll have to ask Wilson how he used to trick or treat in NYC as a kid. I know in some parts of New York City you'd go around your apartment building, but I'm not 100% sure what they did.
Sounds weird.
If they had parents with them or not.
Yeah, it works as a traditional American activity. If you live in a city which is nothing but houses, it does not work
in a suburban neighborhood.
Yeah,
if you live in a suburban neighborhood like I do, that's what it was good for. And I'm pretty sure like our parents were with us when we were really little, but if we were I think when we were like 10 or 12, we were out on our own.
62 Lefty Blue says Happy Halloween. The thing about Halloween is that everybody's doing their horror top 10 lists, and that annoys me because horror is definitely my least favorite genre.
Yeah, I'm not a big horror genre, but I do admire horror fans because for a long time they had nothing. And they loved the little nothing they had. Good, like in the 80s, if you were a horror fan, and I knew some horror fans, and well into the 90s, you had a handful of good movies, but you still watched the bad ones because they were horror movies. And like Don the Comic Book Junkie just finished a 24-hour horror movie marathon. That sounds like torture to me, not fun.
Right.
He stayed up for 24 hours and watched about 12 horror movies.
Yeah, I mean, even if you try to do that only with Hammer films, who the hell wants to see 12 Christopher Lee Dracula movies?
His plan was, what he did was he front-loaded his 24 hours with movies he hadn't seen before. And then on the back end were some of his favorites. Happy Halloween, Donald Rex. So that, he didn't have to, he could maybe fade out a little bit. Happy Halloween. Will anybody knock or ring our doorbell? Some years we can get some kids, some years nothing. And tonight it's cold and windy out. I mean, last night it was torrential rain, so at least it's better than that.
Well, yeah, I suppose your weather was a little bit affected by the hurricane over Jamaica.
I think this was something different even. I'm not sure if that's reached us yet. I'm not, I wasn't paying that close attention to the weather, but I heard someone say that this was a different storm system. But I could be wrong.
The hurricane itself is not supposed to affect you, but it should should drop the temperatures all around it.
Yeah. And it blew up.
Yeah, we've been having rain too.
Let me show you something interesting
Mm-hmm.
that I think someone just knocked on our door. My sister will get it. So we have some trick-or-treaters. Something I found in Jerry, once again, looking to my friend Jerry gave me a couple thousand comics at the beginning of COVID. So they've been sitting out in my garage for 5 years unlooked at. Well, I looked at them a little bit first and went, eh. So I was just giving some away to my students because I may as well clear them out. I'll give them away to the students. And I found one interesting thing in there that I had never seen before, which is I was giving away stuff from 92 and 93 this year. And this is from 1992. It's the Batman Gallery. That's a wraparound cover.
Mm-hmm.
That's a Joe Quesada one. And it's just a whole bunch of famous, maybe like this one is covers, and this one was a card. The one on this side is a card, the Batman 66 cards. And here's something interesting. This is the Neil Adams cover that he did after an old Detective Comics. But I never realized how little drawing was in this Neil Adams one. Let me move my hand. He just kind of knocked it out. There's not a lot of Neil Adams structure in there. It's just kind of these figures are kind of amorphous, and those wolves are just kind of this looks like one Neil Adams knocked out in an afternoon. Batman's pretty, but I was I never really looked at it before because the famous Batman cover, the Neil Adams one and the non-Neil Adams one.
Yeah.
But I always just assumed this one had, Neil Adams' usual terrific figure drawing in it. And it really doesn't. It's just kind of one that's got lots of little figures that he kind of knocked out. There's a Frank Miller, Batman and Superman.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Frank Miller and Lynn Varley, Frank Miller and Dick. Oh, that's the Dark Knight poster on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's, who's that? Jim Aparo on one side. No, Jose Garcia Lopez and Win Mortimer. Let's see, what else do we got here? Carmen Infantino, Murphy Anderson, and Bob Powell and Norm Sanders. Oh, the Bob Powell and Norm Sanders one is a painted card from the Batman, this card set in the 60s. What else do we have here? Dick Sprang and Charles Paris and George Perez. A Dick Sprang one is pretty cool.
Yeah.
George Perez with lots of broken glass. Who else do we have here? Neil Adams and John Bolton. There's a Batman I expect from Neil Adams. Oh, and here's the Neil Adams from the Treasury edition.
Yeah.
Very famous Neil Adams cover.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of splashing ink. Dick Sprang, Carmen Infantino, and Joe Giella. I wonder if some of them have their logos on them because that's the only copy they had. I noticed some of them don't have their logos on them. We have Brian Bolland, Bob Kane, and Jerry Robinson. Is it really Bob Kane? That's the question. I don't know if I trust that Bob Kane.
At that stage.
At that stage, was he drawing anything? Then we got Todd McFarlane and Dick Giordano. And this is Todd McFarlane with the correct coloring on it. Well, so not quite correct. Do you know this McFarlane cover and the mistake in it?
Mistake?
Mistake's not here. But In the original, that moon back there was yellow, except
Okay.
for that one area between his cape and his face was white.
Ah.
So whoever did the color separations missed that one area of yellow.
Hmm.
So once you see that, you'll never unsee it. As Todd McFarlane says when he pointed out that to everybody on Instagram once. Dave McKean and Joe Cupert.
Dave McKean, that's the Arkham Asylum cover.
Is that what that is? I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Because I can't even. Oh, yeah, the other one's in the Arkham Asylum cover too. So let's see. Dave McKean. Yeah, Arkham Asylum. No, it's an Arkham Asylum poster, it says.
But that's the cover that they use on that they currently use on the trade paperbacks.
Oh, okay. So it must have been a poster first. Walter Simonson and Jerry Robinson. I think that Joker one is a pinup, right? Or I don't think it was a cover. I'm not
Jerry
sure.
Robinson.
The Jerry Robinson one was. Oh, yeah, Batman. It must have Batman 366 is the Walter Simonson one. Then we've got Marshall Rogers and Batman animated series. Doesn't even have an artist on it.
Huh.
Let's see, what else do we have? Shelley Maldoff and Jim Aparo.
Yeah. Robin's
couple
deaths.
of La Peta ones.
Right, because Robin died in the 50s. So did Alfred.
Robin. What decades did Robin die in there? And it ends with it's the Mike Zeck and Jack Burnley.
Jack Burnley. Amazing. No, but that's a recreation, right?
Don't know. What was it say? Batman 9, 1942, it says.
Jack.
Did DC archived all their stuff? They did. That could be the original. They did a good job of archiving. Archiving their stuff was important to DC, or at least copies of it. The original art they might tear up. They might throw out. But they archived stats and film of all their stuff. So I thought that was a pretty nice little. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to give this one away. I'm going to keep this one. Put it in my collection of cover stuff.
Yeah, I was looking for something for things that I'm going to have to dump. Found the Batman 10-cent adventure and the Superman 10-cent adventure. Remember those?
I remember those. Yeah.
Now
I'm not sure.
And they were giving them out like they were out of style.
Oh yeah.
I used to have 3 Superman 10-cent adventures and 3 Batman 10-cent adventures.
Just because it was only 60 cents.
Lefty says, your jacket is staring at him.
I am.
Missing Mark says,
got my eye on you.
And Captain Infinity says coffee.
Yup.
As usual. The time-traveling coffee.
He time travels with a cup of coffee.
Yeah, you never know if they have coffee in the past or the future. They might not. No, the other guy got it wrong. You're not supposed to take a towel. You're supposed to take a coffee.
That guy really knows where his towel is. I always liked that saying.
Fort Prefect. Fort Prefect says, calm down and don't forget your towel.
Do you have a favorite Batman cover? I don't know if I do.
No. Not really, no.
I'm trying to think. If I were to pick all the Batman covers in this one, let me see. What would I pick as my favorite?
Oh, the Treasury Ra's al Ghul by Neil Adams.
Yeah, that one's all right. Don Newton. Jose Garcia Lopez. The new look, Batman and Robin. You know what it is? The ones with the logos on them have an advantage to me. for me, because I think a comic book cover should have the logos on it.
Right.
So I'm looking through these, and the art might be fine, but I just like the ones with the logos on. I think they present better.
Yeah,
Even if there's too
because
many logos.
the covers are designed to have space for the logo. So if you remove the logo, it's missing something. The composition's wrong.
You know what? I think I might go with this Todd McFarlane one. I've always liked that cover. I'm not a huge Todd McFarlane fan, but I liked the sort of abstract nature he did of the cape. I think he did a nice job with that.
It may be that if I would choose a Batman favorite Batman cover, it might be a Batman and the Outsiders cover.
Ah, okay.
Because the Outsiders has some interesting covers, and since you have more people on the cover.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, without this Mike Zeck one is really nice too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's a typical Mike Zeck. Well, actually, no, yeah, it is a typical Mike Zeck.
But he was good at covers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm okay with
Case and Comics is here. What's up?
Mike Zeck. He always kind of stretched faces to my eye. His faces always had like a moon face quality to me. I don't know why.
I also think that they would have chosen that the cover that where Batman appears in the Manhunter story for Simonson.
Ah, okay. Yeah, who knows why they chose them? Wonder if the editor was. Let me see.
Yeah, it's not even. I don't think it's even Simonson's best work on. Not sure.
Special thanks to Joe Desris, Desris, Barbara Egens, Ejnes, Tony Dispoto, and Mike Tiffenbacher. I'm guessing those guys had something to do with the archiving. They were the ones who had to go and find all this stuff. Let's see. It gives us the DC Comics. I guess Neil Ponzer was the Jeanette. It gives us the DC Comics masthead. Jeanette Kahn, President, Editor-in-Chief. Dick Giordano, VP, Editorial Director. Neil Ponzer was the editor. Jim Chadwick, Director of Design Services. Robin Brosterman, Art Director. Joe Orlando, VP, Creative Director. Paul Levitz, Executive VP and Publisher. Bruce Bristow, VP, Sales and Marketing. Patrick Cauldron, VP and Controller. Terry Cunningham, Director of Editorial Administration. Chantel Dolness, VP, Business Affairs. Lillian Laserson, VP, Legal Affairs. And Bob Rozakis, Production Designer.
You have to list all those people.
The whole DC masthead.
And Rozakis is probably the only one who actually worked on that book.
Yeah, the production director. Well, probably Neil Ponzer did too, the editor. He probably ordered he was the one who said, let's put this cover in, let's put that cover in.
How long ago did that come out? Because I don't think Rozakis is there.
This came out in 1992.
Ah, okay.
So it was quite a while ago. Printed in Canada.
Tit Goblin is also here, speaking of Canada.
Aha, there was a graveyard smash. Like Jim Chadwick's name I know, too. He was around there for a while. And how long was Dick Giordano there as editorial
director? So Carmine took over what, 1970?
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe Giordano was, and then Carmine went to Marvel at what, 76? So maybe that's when Giordano.
Did he follow Carmine? Was he the? So. editorial director, right? I don't even know, because I hardly ever hear his name mentioned in an executive capacity.
Right. Yeah, because the figurehead is less important. Was always less important at DC than it was at Marvel.
Yeah, because at Marvel, the whoever was the editor in chief, I guess that would be equivalent of editorial director. The editor in chief was actually in charge.
But at DC, well, since you had the offices with their own little fiefdoms, so there wasn't really that much need to coordinate. And all the editors kind of knew what they were doing.
Yeah, Marvel had their own little fiefdoms, but still, the editor in chief was in charge.
Right.
But I remember in my 2 weeks that I worked
thing. At Marvel, they were used to having one guy in charge of editorial since 1957.
You're right.
And then they started having to expand around 71. And at DC, it's basically the same structure that they had going back to the 1940s. They had 3 or 4 guys, and each has their own little thing. So you don't really need a coordinator. You don't need an editor in chief that is more than a basic coordinator.
Right. Like I said, in my 2 days and 20 minutes of working at DC, they were much more corporate than Marvel, and I was explained that this was in like the mid '90s, that their whole because like at Marvel, we worked directly with the editors in the bullpen. They'd give us work, we'd hand it back to them. We had a problem, we'd go and talk to them. At DC, everything went through the production director, and it was all designed because it must have been Bob Rozakis, because 2 people, and I think one was the production director and the other was an editor, didn't like each other and wouldn't talk to each other. So the whole system was designed so that editorial and production wouldn't have to talk to each other. So I'm guessing that goes back to their corporate structure. They could design something like that because they're used to those little enclaves. But a fun book to find. A little look at some Batman covers. Let's see, how many do you think there have been more Batman covers since 1992, or from 1992 to the beginning of Batman? It's got to be there've been more covers since 1992.
Since 1992, and we're 2025. I guess by 2008, there had been more covers between 92 and 2008 than between 38 and 39 and 92.
Because, like, 50. This is like 50 years of Batman, right? And it's only been like 35 years since or so. But since there's just so many Batman books and covers, that have much more to choose from since 1992. Wow, I'd never thought of that before. And they also didn't get this Batman, the Neil Adams one, had a gray on the Batman cape there, but it turned in the pattern moirade on this. So if you look at the original, here of the original, see how it's that striped pattern in the gray? That's not supposed to be there. That is something got messed up, because the original one had gray there, but it was a smooth gradation. It didn't have those stripes that it moirade somehow from the stat to printing this.
Yeah. Captain Infinity says, imagine time traveling to a time with no boiling water for coffee. That's right.
No, there was.
You can use anything. You can use anything for a towel. Yeah, but you can use anything for a towel, but you need specific boiling water to make decent coffee.
boiling water wouldn't be the problem. The coffee would be the problem.
Yes.
Fire goes back a long, long way.
Mm-hmm.
Coffee, I
Right.
don't think goes back as long.
Yeah. In the Western world, we wouldn't be drinking coffee before the 17th century.
Yeah.
And even then, they figured out coffee, and the first coffee is roasting beans and then using boiling water. Until they invented pressure, it's not decent coffee. Yes, the answer must be to pack lots of coffee.
Yes, lots of coffee. And this Casada and Noland do this cover. Yeah. Now I'm going to read you Dick Giordano's short editorial.
Mm-hmm.
Many years ago, I drew a 6-page Batman story titled The Batman Nobody Knows for Julie Schwartz. In it, scripter Frank Robbins had Bruce Wayne and a group of young boys sitting around a campfire telling stories. Each child related to the others a flight of fantasy about Batman based mostly on his overactive adolescent imagination. Each boy's version portrayed Batman differently than the others, but despite these differences, a similarity that defined the true essence of Batman was present in each. At the end of the tale telling, Batman himself leaps into the midst of the boys, one of whom explains, "Oh, come on, Mr. Wayne, you're too big for all that kid stuff." The message, of course, was that each child's personal imaginary version of Batman was so strong that he knew who Batman was, and that made it possible for him to recognize the imposter Bruce Wayne in a batsuit. And maybe that helps to explain why different artists can portray Batman in his or her individual style, often making meaningful alterations in Batman's physical persona, and still each version will be readily accepted by the fans and readers. Perhaps each of us has his own Batman nobody knows.
Mm.
A long way to go to explain the different styles.
But it works.
It's like nice little editorial.
It's like that final Batman story that Neil Gaiman wrote, which is the Batman version of Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, which explains that Batman is a constant time loop, being reborn in the present again and again, just so he can be Batman.
Huh. Sounds a little Grendel-ish. Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, I'm packing up a lot of stuff, and I have to dump a lot of stuff in the garbage as well. I just trashed my Wizard magazines, but yeah, here's the thing: who the hell wants to keep Wizard magazines?
You don't even have a front stoop to put them on?
No. But I decided to keep these ones. Remember Comic Scene?
Oh, yeah. I remember Comic Scene. That's early 80s. I remember I was reading some of that.
There was one in the early 80s, then there was in the 90s. And this was volume 3. Yeah. This was volume 3. There are only 3 issues. Yeah, I didn't have more. In fact, I only started I only started ordering from number 4. But number 4 never came out.
Comic Scene.
Yeah, these covers are kind of busy, but I guess they wanted to show that they were talking about everything.
Yeah. That was the, magazine cover style, was blurbs with everything in it.
Yeah. But, Wizard didn't do that.
When you're appealing to so many fan bases.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that the fan base that has an article in it, I don't know what articles were in there, but the Captain Victory and his galactic planet fan base. All that.
This one has a poster that you can rip off.
Sigil. Look at that.
Uh-huh.
A little cross-gen.
Yeah.
Scion.
Scion.
I read Scion. That was a good one. Sigil I just got last year, the omnibus of it. Enjoyed it thoroughly.
Uh-huh. And then the article on the beginning of CrossGen, starting here. So I'm just going to keep these ones because I suppose not everybody has them and they're only 3. But the wizards there, I dumped them.
Mystic and Sigil. Mystic I have yet to read. I got the omnibus sitting back there.
Yeah. Yes, Dilbert on the cover. Can you imagine that? And it's also got something here that was interesting. It's this year, the Crater Kid was a web comic from around the year 2000. It was sort of a spin-off of the Astounding Space Thrills, and I used to read it. Now the website's long gone, unfortunately. I know that the guy put out a trade paperback. Let me see if I know where that article is. Crater Kid, page 19. Page 19. All of these have posters. Page 19. No, this is 27. Here's the Dilbert pages.
Dilbert.
Yeah. I guess they were trying to be everything for everyone at once, and but they are also talking about the Dilbert animated series.
That guy's dying now too, I think.
Yeah, I don't. Man, where's?
It's some fast-moving cancer or something.
It's like it's missing pages.
Mm-hmm.
Odd. This keeps missing pages. Yeah, it's missing a whole chunk of pages. I never noticed.
It's missing pages?
Yeah, I never noticed.
Where'd they go? Who stole Paolo's pages?
Yeah, it's missing about 10 pages over here. Weird. The ones with the Crater Kid. Never noticed. I don't know why. But it does have the Lost Generation here also as well. Remember this?
No. Who's?
Oh, so this was a comic. Okay, remember that about the continuity sliding timeline. John Byrne decided that they needed heroes that were in between the Golden Age and the Modern Age, before the Fantastic Four. So these were new guys that he came up with to fill the supposed void. But the story is interesting, but nobody else cared. So,
was it a Marvel book?
Yeah, Roger Stern and John Byrne, Marvel: The Lost Generation.
Oh, I remember that title now, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
I never read it.
Lefty says he kept the Alex Ross cover Wizards. Yeah. I probably could. There's probably a few things that are worth keeping, but just unless you start ripping out pages, there's really no point.
Why not? If you're throwing them away anyway, rip out the pages you want.
Sure, I guess.
Why throw out the baby with the bathwater?
Yeah, and besides, here's the thing: those can be used at most for reference, because most of that is unreadable, is not worth rereading. And I downloaded all the Wizards, all of those magazines from the 80s and 90s about comics. You can find them online, scanned. So you want to check something out
digitally? They take up less room.
Yeah. I am moving. I'm putting up my apartment for rental, and I'm moving back in with my parents. They're in their late 70s, and they could use a hand. And I need the money from putting up the place for rental. So I don't have room in my parents' house for the comics, and I'm gonna have to put up a lot of things in storage.
Want to see one of the comics I got this week? I got 8 comics this week. Let's start with the first one, Xander Cannon's Sleep. This one continues to be good. This is the one where the guy goes to sleep, and it's done in gray and red mostly. There was some blue. The guy goes to sleep, and a monster. We haven't actually seen the monster, just the effects of the monster. But the monster comes out and kills people in his town. So the town's trying to figure out what's happening. They don't know. And he was trying to figure out what's happening. This is issue 6. It's taking him to issue 6 to figure out what's going on. And in this one, he's got one. And so in the daytime, he's perfectly normal guy with his red glasses there. And this friend of his, this woman, figured out that it might have something to do with this mine in town. And so he stayed down in the mine all night, trapped in the mine, so the monster couldn't kill anyone. And they figured out that might work. And there's just all sorts of weird things going on in this town. But Xander Cannon is the one who did Kaiju Max. That's where I first saw his work, though he's been around for years.
Yeah, I saw him. I saw him on Top 10, and he was part of that image revolution that Jim Valentino launched with the Replacement God.
I missed all that, but now I get his stuff. I really enjoy it. So that was another fun issue. It's really, a different sort of story.
Well, pretty that's if you saw the Return of Sleepy Hollow comic.
No, I didn't see that one. Like I said, I already had 8 comics. Or I had 7. I picked one off the shelf. That's what I may have. What happens is when I get the final order cutoff email from my comic shop, I look through and see which ones I'm interested in. But sometimes I just can't get it. For all the people who say modern comics suck, I'm like, there are more comics I'm interested in than I can afford. I mean, there's a lot of good comics out there. So I may have seen Return to Sleepy Hollow on final order cutoff, but for some reason didn't order it. But I did not get that one. But like I said, I already had 8 comics, so that's why. And a couple of first issues. So sometimes it's like there's too many first issues for me to even try. Paolo doesn't know what that's like. He doesn't have comic shops. He doesn't get monthly comics. So
nope.
But I'm sure
we have our con last weekend and this weekend, but I didn't go. There were a few, but I know there were a few new comics, but everything new is a graphic novel. So
yeah. I wonder how easy it is to try new stuff if everything's a graphic novel or collected edition. Because I found back when I was doing that, like from like 2008 to maybe 2010 or 11, there weren't that many monthly comics. So I was trying out various stuff in collected form or graphic novel form. But I found like the high price point made it hard to try stuff. Because, you're paying $20 for something you don't know what it is. But also that made me try out cheap, like especially like secondhand trade paperbacks are usually cheap.
Right.
You could, like, sometimes my comic shop, but sometimes the guys who worked at the local comic shop would sell some of their personal stuff that they didn't want anymore for like $5 a piece. But that sort of narrows your selection down to comics that weren't good enough for someone.
Yes.
So I ended up buying a lot of mediocre because
I get
it's
it.
$5.
Here's the thing. Learn to read solicitations, and if you're trying them out at the store, trust the cover blurb.
That's what I always did. That's what I still do. But it's still easier to buy a $5 comic than a
Right.
$20 collector edition.
Well, in Europe,
we
don't have that issue because the new one only comes out in 2 years.
Right.
Also, it's much easier to get rid of a one shot.
Yeah.
If it's in Europe, if it's a graphic novel, it's a one shot. It's much easier to get rid of it because it's a complete story, and you can sell that. If the other person, the person who's buying it from you, just wants to read something new, they have a complete story there. So it's not like they're committing to anything.
Yeah, I just wonder, what it's like in Europe to buy comics.
Yeah, but it's like that. Since the new comic only comes out next year, or maybe in 2 or 3 years' time, it doesn't really matter. It's not even when it's continued. It's not continued like that. You can actually start reading. Start reading the incal
for trying new stuff.
Yeah, but it's volume 22 of 13. You can pick up volume 22 of 13, even though the original writer and the artist are no longer there. But you can read it. I read a lot of comics like that. Even if you're trying out Blueberry, it's not like you need to read it in chronological order, especially because they don't even come out in the characters' chronological order. Blueberry comes out in cycles, so it's usually 2 or 3 books that come out over a 2 or 3 year period. And those are set in one particular time in Blueberry's personal history. So and they can either go and you can sort of tell where in the character's history it is, because you'll have Marshall Blueberry. That's after there's Lieutenant Blueberry, which means it's set during the Civil War. Marshall Blueberry is after the Civil War. Mr. Blueberry is in the late 19th century. So you're beginning to see modernity creeping in.
But to me, something like Mobius, though, would be easy. That's not Mobius is sort of but have you picked up like a graphic novel or whatever from like 2 people you've never heard of?
Yes.
2 people you've never heard of doing it. How often do you do that? Like, how often do you go to the store and look for something like, I've never heard of these guys, but it sounds intriguing, so I'll pick it. I like the way it looks, so I'll pick it up.
It's actually easy because easier because the people you like maybe they don't have a graphic novel this year. They're still working on the next one.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So you can try out stuff, and you when it comes to European stuff, you usually go by the covers.
Yeah.
And everything has a title. So it's even if it's part of the series, there's a title, and the title tells you what the story is about. So you have the cover, you have the title, you have a good idea of what you're going to read. So first the art grabs you, then you go, okay, maybe this looks interesting. Let me try it out. I mean, if you want to read Asterix, of course you don't read it. You can pick up any Asterix book at any time.
Right.
And you don't need to read any other Asterix book again if you don't want to. But usually you do, because it's Asterix. Paul Prater says, I think collected editions are nicer for the overall story, and I treat it basically like a book. I only pick up floppies if I really love the art and covers and treat it like a collector's item. And there have been series where I didn't like some single issues, but overall the art picked up, and I could see how a collected edition would be great for seeing it through. Yeah, if you're liking the story, the best way to preserve it is, okay, if you bought the original comics and you like that storyline, go pick up the trade paperback and sell the comics.
But what I was saying, what I want to know is, would he pick up something completely new that he knew nothing about as a collected edition, sort of thing? Would he pay $20 because he liked the way this thing looked? Going to the store.
Yeah,
like it's just easier to pick up like he said. You like the comic, then you go get the collected edition. That's sort of normal. But
I guess it would be harder because the average American reader is used to picking up things that are familiar.
Right.
So
100%.
you will probably like have a hard time picking up something new and untrusted But then again, if you're buying trade paperbacks, you already have an eye for things that are of literary importance. You'll be able to have a feel for the story because you're used to reading complete stories.
But would you pick up something that's not Spider-Man or Batman or Superman
I guess most superhero.
I wonder.
I guess most superhero readers wouldn't.
Yeah.
Someone recommend me a comic series, I pick up the trade and not pick up Random Issue number 6, or try to eat the cost of the TPB to try it out.
Yeah, like that's if someone recommends it to you.
Mm-hmm.
That I can read. Once again, someone you trust, someone who knows your taste. I can understand you picking it up, but I mean, you're going into the street like, I want to read some comics today. I'm also the type of person who likes to try out new stuff. Not everybody does. Most people, I would say, don't like to try out new stuff. They like the tried and true. That's why I'm wondering how many people would actually try something out in trade paperback that wasn't a trusted recommendation. It was just something that caught their eye, something that they heard about maybe, but not someone that said, "Oh, you'll love this one."
Well, if you're trying, for example, Seth. It's a graphic novel. It's 200 pages. You're going to have to eat the cost. But then again, somebody who likes buying, who might try a Seth book, is not a typical superhero reader.
I can't imagine anyone who knows nothing about Clyde fans, or if it's a Good Life or Seth, walking in and buying one of their books sort of on impulse. I can't even imagine that happening.
Yeah, back when people bought records, teenagers were more likely to pick up the single of that music they like, of that song they like, rather than the album. And because they're listening to pop music,
right? They heard it on the radio.
So it's the guys who like rock or jazz who go after the full album, because they're also going for the album experience.
And there was even fewer who would take out a random album, maybe listen to it at a listening station and buy it, or buy it even unheard. So it's just an interesting thought. The difference between buying. Me, I'd like to go to the comic shop every week and try out, and I have to constantly try out new stuff because I'm an indie guy.
Yeah.
By the way, one guy at my comic shop, who, how old is he? He's maybe 10 or 15 years younger than me. I'm not even 100% sure. He's probably in his late 40s. He's a retired cop. And he just announced he's given up Marvel and DC. He's just, because he's been a Marvel and DC guy his whole life. But he's like, I got enough indie books now that, because he buys like the Energon universe. He's of that G.I. Joe Transformers age. So he's got that whole Energon universe thing. He's got other. He's like, I just can't take Marvel and DC. I'm like, you lasted a lot longer than I did.
Yeah. Although if you like Transformers or Thundercats or whatever, you're not an indie reader.
Yeah.
Those are not indie comics.
Yeah. I didn't want to say that to him.
Right. But it's the thing.
Right.
The definition can't be Marvel and DC are not indie and everything else is indie, because now you have to define
Right.
why Marvel and DC are not indie.
Yeah, I agree with
So,
you there.
because I have a definition. If it's owned by a corporation, it's not indie. If it's a personal vision of a writer and or artist, it's indie, even if it comes out through Marvel or DC. So
Right.
most Vertigo comics are indie comics. Most Epic comics were indie comics. No Transformers comic is an indie comic. Doesn't matter which publisher is putting it out. Archie is not an indie. Archie is not an indie comic. It may be a family. It may be from a family-run operation, but it's not an indie comic. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles used to be an indie comic, but now it isn't.
Nah, now it's not. But speaking of indie comics, because there's that new indie publisher, almost like some sort of FOMO, which would make someone buy a trade paperback.
You know, because it's the only other alternative to trying a comic rather than finding all the right. It's depending on where you are and on the type of shops that you have available. If somebody tells you to pick up a comic which is in issue number 5 or 6, maybe the shop doesn't have the previous issues, so you're stuck. So might as well try the first trade.
Though these days, for the hot comics, there's always multiple printings of the early issues.
Right.
So with a little effort, you can get them. Or you can wait for the trade, whichever you want to do. But since they have that new indie distributor, my comic shop has gotten a lot of indie stuff in, and I picked up one this week, which is Essentia number 29. I figured any indie comic that got up to issue 29 and I've never heard of it, I'll give a read to. And this is the special parody cover of some kind. I have no idea. This cover has nothing to do with the insides. And the publisher is...
So that's Ronald McDonald.
It's Ronald McDonald.
Right.
Bob's Big Boy.
Okay.
Fozzie Bear.
And Gonzo. And the Kermit and the... Who's that big bear?
I don't know. Kermit. I don't know who that big bear is. That orange
shirt. I don't know what that is.
Shirt, turtleneck should be a clue, but I don't know who it is. And they're all killing Ronald McDonald, I guess. That's the holla, and it says right there, "Don't sue him." It's a parody cover. And the logo, the Wake Entertainment logo, is by Frank Cho. He's credited in the book. And it's but some pretty good art. There's some giant robot fighting going on. Some security people in their armor. Let's see. I think there was some. Wasn't there some naked women in this, or not naked, but no, it wasn't this one. Just bosomy women. She's got some sort of push-up bra with no push-up bra.
Yeah.
Those are some magical boobies.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed this. Who's doing it? The artwork was good. The writer is John Dolmayan, whose name I know. I must have picked up some other indie thing that he wrote, but I can't remember what it was. The artist is one named Artecida, Artecida. I have no idea how to pronounce that. Artecida, Artecida. The color artist is just named Blonde, Blond. And the letterer is Josh Reed. But, the printer, Garrow, 8-minute, Hague's Quality Printing. I wonder where that is. Let's see. Does it say? I have no idea where Hague's Quality Printing is. But there's a good... It's, apparently it takes place in the future sometime where, I think there's these androids who are invading Earth and they're fighting Earth. And Essentia, I think, is the name of a country or a city. But there was a lot of political intrigue going on. And some of the political intrigue had to do with one country's response to these android invaders. They want to kind of blow them up with lots of civilian casualties. And the other country who has the weapon that could blow them up was like, no, we can't just that'll be 30% human civilian casualties they'll give us. But there's all sorts of intrigue going on, but it was really well done. I would read more of this, definitely. I'm gonna have to put it on my pull list, because it was a good comic. With all these indie stuff coming in, they're not all that great. I mean, just looking through them, I'm like, ooh, but this one caught my eye. Nice cover stock too. I gotta say, this one's definitely gets. I'm gonna buy some more issues of this. Like I said, I was like, any indie comic that I got up to issue 29 and I've never heard of it before, I may as well give a read to.
Yes, something called Dead Samurai.
Oh, I am buying that one. That's where I know his name from. I think that's a Dead Samurai I'm buying. I had the latest issue last week. Okay. That makes sense that I know his name then. He's the writer on Dead Samurai with the underwhelming Bill Sienkiewicz covers. I hate to speak ill of Bill Sienkiewicz, but he's been doing the Dead Samurai covers, and none of them have done anything for me. They're not terrible or anything, but
Essentia originally came out as a Kickstarter comic.
Okay. I think a lot of this stuff that's been distributed by this company is Kickstarter stuff. I think that's just how a lot of indie books get made these days.
And it's not the original artist anymore. The original artist was called Tony Parker.
Oh, Tony Parker. I know his name. He's done other stuff. He was probably a hired gun to draw it. And let me see who the copyright is by. Because sometimes these days the Wake Entertainment. Yeah, this is all John Dolmayan's. Wake Entertainment. Yeah, everything's copyright John. So he's probably paying the artists as work for hire. But yeah, good comic.
I think no, I didn't. Wait a second. Hard to see.
Because I don't think Dead Samurai is Wake Entertainment. At least I don't remember it being.
No, it's Torpedo Comics.
Okay.
Yeah, Artesita seems to be a studio, but I can't find much information on it.
Yeah. It's probably a one-man show.
Yeah, you can see you continuing from number 29 on.
Yeah, that is true. And someday I might get interested in buying the back issues or not. I'm like, but that's also as Wilson Wilson and I have said, that's part of our age too, because when we were kids, you just started with whatever issue of Spider-Man was out there.
Exactly. Experience comic buyers. Yeah. Well, it shouldn't have. The thing is, when comics came out in newsstands, they knew that a lot of people would only buy that comic and never read a comic again.
Yeah. I don't think it has anything to do with experience.
Yeah. Besides, I think they're both for experienced readers nowadays. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Even the European graphic novel. The European graphic novel is very expensive nowadays, even in France. The comics they weren't cheap, but you know that you could get good value for money from those 48 pages in a bigger format. And you knew that you're not actually committing to spending that much money every month. But nowadays they are expensive. There's a lot of comics which are they're deluxe hardcovers with 240 pages, and they cost $40, and it's ridiculously expensive for somebody not experienced to try out.
My coat looks wide awake. It is. I put on my orange shirt and the coat for Halloween.
So I guess
I've noticed. What was that?
I think that the comics industry in the United States is not welcoming to new readers. And the French one is kind of going the same way. But that's, you're not going to get new readers if you're pressing everyone out.
Amen.
Like with Exquisite Corpses blowing up on social media, do you think a normal person would go into the comic shop and buy floppies and keep up with the series?
I think they from what I've seen on TikTok, and recently my algorithm has been feeding me comic book haul videos, especially from young women. So I've seen a lot of comic book, and a lot of them are new readers. They're like maybe in their early 20s, and they're new readers, and they just decided to get into comic books. So they're picking up comic books, and it's kind of like, I would say, they buy comic books for the covers and trade paperbacks to read. Not that they don't read the comics, but they're picking the comics because of their covers. And then they're like, ooh, I want to read this, so I got the trade paperback.
Right.
And that's what I've noticed. I don't know, but I think like I can remember in the late 90s when I was at Marvel working there, and they actually paid a company to do some market research on who was buying their comics. And they were completely shocked to learn that, over half of their customers bought 3 comics a year or something, like we were mentioning before. I mentioned this before. And because we always think of...
we have to explain. It's not 3 titles a year. It's 3 individual comic issues a year.
Yes. And because we at Marvel, and generally you think of comic book fans like Paolo and I. We love Wednesday Warriors go in every Wednesday and get their comics. There weren't as many trade paperbacks in those days, but still you'd get the trade paperback when it came out. But no, most of the more than 50% of the fans were completely casual. And I have noticed just in YouTube I have been doing a weekly comic book haul for over 10 years now. And I started out with Sleepy Reader was there and other people doing comic book hauls, but like none of them are left. And I've seen so many comic book haul people come and go. And they also found out through that, people buy comic books for a couple of years and then stop. And I think that's still going. I think these people who are buying, trying out comic books now, that I see on TikTok will probably be they'll be gone in 2 years. And some new people will try to start up comic books. So it's like there's fewer long-term fans than we think. Like even
up to the 90s, you could pick up a random issue of whatever title and be entertained by that random issue. And you can't do that now.
I think you still can to an extent. But but I think that's also when I said they pick up the issues for the covers and the trade paperback for the read.
Right.
That could, but like even all my friends who
thumbs up the video if you like.
And
if you're new, subscribe.
Yeah. Like I said, all my friends who are comic book fans who I've known for years, they don't buy comics anymore.
Like a percent of trade readers get turned into weekly comic shop
Yeah.
goers. Maybe only a small percent. Seeing younger people on Wednesdays in recent years at the 3 shops near my house. Are they buying
Okay.
manga? Because most new readers are going straight to the manga section.
Oh, I can tell from my students, manga is just a huge, and anime is just such a huge influence. It's tough. It's tough to teach them something other than
Right.
manga and anime because that's what
Yeah,
they know.
they learn to read. They learn to draw from watching anime.
Yeah.
Most of the people on YouTube are coming back to comics. It seems, and as Jared says, their return doesn't last forever.
No.
Yeah, I suppose not. You know, it's a combination of time, money, space.
Yeah. All sorts of things. And I think part of it is reading is more work than watching TV.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
comes down to that too. Watching TV takes up no space.
Right.
It usually takes up money, but not as much as comics. And it takes watching TV or a movie is passive. Reading is active.
Right.
And it takes less energy to do something. It takes no energy to do something passive. You can just turn on the TV and veg out.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that with a comic.
Yeah, as I put up a pile here of the comics that I know I can give away. Man, this is ridiculous. I'm gonna just pick up a little bit of the pile, just so you. Okay. All right. So this is a little bit of the pile, and it's when we look at comics as piles that we understand the amount of space that these things take up, and that's the big problem. These things take up space, and I think a lot of people will probably look at this. Man, I can't just keep buying these. Where am I going to put them?
Especially if they're picking up Spider-Man because they were a Spider-Man fan when they were a kid.
Yeah.
And they read it and they're disappointed by it because they're not a kid anymore. They're expecting that. I think that has something to do with it too over here in the good old US.
So my local shop is 80-20 manga with a comic still being a majority.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the demographics. You don't have them.
Comic shops can't compete with Amazon for manga. That's what it comes down to. They can't.
You got to look at Barnes and Noble, or they could see how popular manga is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comic shops can't compete with bookstores for manga. They can't sell them as cheaply. So you're never going to see that much manga in a comic shop in general. There are probably some that specialize in it.
I don't know. My comic shop has been 50% manga since 2002.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, one of them. The other one is 80% American. But
I say if you can't get rid of those comics, find your local art school and drop them off. That's what I've been doing.
Most artists here they don't even know what comics are, and they're not looking to become professional artists in the same way. A lot of them will be drawing things straight on the computer, and the best either they'll go into advertising or commercial
doesn't matter.
industrial design.
You, my students tear out the pages and tape them up on their walls to decorate their dorm room.
Maybe it wasn't in the last decade or so. Manga has been making major incursions in every bookstore in France, and now half of the comic book section is definitely manga, and it wasn't like that. Nothing foreigner got into France until the year 2000. The people who read American comics, they were a niche. Even the Disney comics were made in France, but those were newsstand comics. American comics were foreignish, and even then, most of them prefer to read them in the translated version. Fortunately, the French market is big enough that even niche publications such as a superhero comic, they can put out pretty much everything by Marvel, and over 50% by DC. But with manga, they've been on the attack in a way that it doesn't make any sense, and the French publishers haven't been helping because they've been making everything more deluxe, so everything is more expensive.
Well, I think that's because manga is cheap.
Yeah,
it's already been paid for.
Mm-hmm.
It's black and white. You can print it cheap. You can license it cheap. So it's really tough to compete. It's the ultimate foreign competition.
Mm-hmm.
They can do it cheaper, and you already have the best of the best done. You can just pick the cream of the crop and bring it over.
Yeah, right.
So it's like it's very tough to compete with manga because only the good stuff comes over, and it's dirt cheap.
Right. When it comes to a French series, the really big ones come out in every country nearly simultaneously. Like there's a new Asterix which came out last week. I haven't seen the numbers on this one, but it should be the same as the previous one. And the previous one was simultaneous release in 27 languages, 20 million copies all over the world.
And manga, the most popular stuff, has TV shows and movies to go along with it.
Yeah. And nothing in France gets made into a cartoon.
Speaking of TV shows, The Beauty Volume 2, #1 came out this week. I think they mentioned the first issue. I bought all of the first volume. I think it came out in 2018 to start. It hasn't been around in years. But I think this just got made into a TV show. That's why they're coming out with a second volume. And this is the one where the beauty is the name of an STD that people want. Because if you catch it, you turn beautiful. But then they found out a couple years later, your head explodes. That's what happens eventually. And it kind of, it tells stories in different genres. Like the Volume 1, some were cop stories. It originally started out as sort of a conspiracy thing where the company was trying to hide that. Then it turned into like some cop stories, some robber stories, some slice of life stories. So then this one, who's doing it? Jeremy Juan is the writer. He also drew this cover. I first knew him as an artist. Now he's been writing things too. Jeremy Juan and Jason A. Hurley. The art by Emmanuel Lapacino. Colored by Leonardo Paciarati. And world design. So it sounds like this might be an Italian production.
Yeah, the art is Italian. Yeah, Emanuele Lupacchino. No, I don't. But I don't know most Italians. But the thing is, they had the French have a culture of showing the writer and the artist. The Italians don't.
Okay. I just noticed, we've had some Italian studio stuff over here.
Yeah. They make more money working for the U.S. than in Italy.
Right. So it was a good first issue. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Damien says once you have that older, deeper pocket audience, maybe it's easier for publishers to just keep going. It's not. It's safer. You know that if you put out 500 to 1,000 copies of that deluxe graphic novel, you have 500 to 1,000 people who will buy it. And if you try to do something mass market and try to print 20,000 copies, you have no idea if those 20,000 copies are going to sell, especially if it's a new series.
And speaking of TV series, those colors and beauty look, they were really well done.
Paul Preter's asking what the publisher was.
Oh, they're a new publisher who are creator owned. It's Where'd it go? Ignition.
Mm-hmm.
Ignition Press. There we go. And their logo is like this key up top. I've picked up a few books from them. Let me see. The Beauty Voyeur and Murder podcast are the ones, and they also have Deluge and Roots of Madness.
Mm-hmm.
So the three books I picked up by them are pretty good, and I think, like I said, I think they're creator owned in general. Because I remember reading an editorial, why should we start another publishing thing or something like that? Yeah, the comic is well done. Definitely. Very well done. And they've got some sort of number on the back. Unlock your story at ignitionpress.com. Maybe you can get I haven't bothered to go check what that is yet. Was Beauty Image or Boom before? I think it was Image. If memory serves, it was Image. And like I said, it was a good series. It was sort of an anthology series.
Yeah, I think I
found it well done. I generally find Jeremy Juan a good creator. I remember buying his art 20 years ago, and I like his writing. He did Red Mother too. I think he wrote Red Mother. That was another one of his. So usually when I see his name as a writer or artist, I pick it up. And speaking of TV shows, Supernatural #1 came out.
Oh man, there's how long ago did Supernatural end? The TV show?
I don't know, 5 years. I couldn't even tell. It was on for 15 years.
Yeah,
I'm not 100%.
I mean, there are a few,
but a lot of people have discovered Supernatural. According to what I see in TikTok, a lot of people have discovered Supernatural in the last 2 years. I think it hit one of the streaming services.
Yeah, it's like the people who kept buying Buffy and Angel after their series ended. But the same thing didn't happen with the one with the one in space, that Firefly. I think the Firefly comics.
They're still making Firefly comics, but there was only 12 episodes of Firefly ever.
Yeah,
and so it hasn't been hot in a long time. But Supernatural is 15 seasons that have been running on streaming. And it's funny. I didn't pick this cover. I actually picked the photo cover just because I thought all the art covers were pretty bad. I usually avoid photo covers, but for some reason, my shop didn't get the photo cover in for me, so I ended up with this one. I mean, that one. Who's that blonde? There was no blonde.
There was no blonde? I don't know. I never watched.
No, they both had dark. That's supposed to be Dean, I think, because there's two brothers. That's supposed, but he doesn't look anything like him in that painting. The other brother does.
I think I saw 5 minutes of one episode once.
I watched the whole series. All 15 seasons I watched. I enjoyed it. But I mostly picked this up because Greg Pak is the writer. The artist is Eder, E-D-E-R, Messias, M-E-S-S-I-A-S. The colorist is...
With that name, is probably Brazilian.
Okay. The colorist is Thiago.
Thiago.
T-H-Y-A-G-O. Thiago.
Yeah.
Brandao. B-R-A-N-D-A-O.
Brandão. You're supposed to say the nasal thing.
Brandao. Jeff Eckleberry is the letterer. They always have an American letterer, I notice. If you have foreign artists, you have a Yankee letterer.
Yeah, because they don't need spelling mistakes in case the foreigners.
Nate Cosby is the packager and editor. I think I used to work with him at Marvel for a couple of years at the end. But this was a solid comment. Like I said, I think it was The Incredible Hercules I read by Greg Pak. I don't know, 15 years ago.
Yeah,
and it was a solid comic.
It was fun and interesting, and it had that kid,
Amadeus Cho,
Amadeus
right?
Cho as a sidekick. Yeah,
Right.
and
The
Greg Peck
world's third
did a good job.
smartest man or something.
Yeah, and Greg Peck did a good job using Greek mythology, because nobody
Right.
had ever bothered doing good Greek mythology with Hercules at Marvel before.
Right. Well, he did a good job with this too, I gotta say. I enjoy the art was a little it was okay.
Mhm.
Not great, but pretty solid. But it was the writing, the solid writing. It was like a good episode of Supernatural. Terrible logo, by the way. Terrible logo. It's just a font, which I think is the Supernatural logo. But on a TV screen, who cares? On a comic book, it just looks terrible.
Mhm.
But yeah, Dynamite enter another licensed Dynamite book, so who knows how long it's gonna last. And it also takes place between season 1 and 2, so they're young.
Ah,
They're young.
Lost
Yeah,
Adventure.
I've seen a lot of and you know the general takeaway from most of the Supernatural TikToks I've seen is that Supernatural has ruined every horror movie for them. Because
Mm.
it's like every horror movie villain is like light work for Sam and Dean.
Ah.
They've taken on so many monsters and the devil and angels and over 15 seasons and been in so many bloody battles that they're like, ready? That they'd finish him off in 35 minutes. Chucky? He'd be dead in an episode easy. So that's everybody's takeaway from after they watch Supernatural.
Mm. Yeah.
But a pretty good comic, I must say. I might get another. I don't know if I want to put it on my pull list, but I might order another issue. Let's see.
I don't know.
That's the problem with okay, mediocre comics. You're like,
Uh-huh.
It's what is it? $5? $5. You really want to pay $5 for an okay, mediocre comic?
I'd like to do a comic book set in the NCIS franchise. You know, I was talking.
Not a lot of police procedural comics.
No, there is. But the thing I did, and I'm not that big of a fan of the original NCIS. I prefer the Los Angeles version because that's the one with the big explosions. I've seen a guy describe NCIS Los Angeles as set in an alternate universe where the Cold War never ended. Yeah, because you have Russian spies, Arab terrorists, Japanese yakuza, Chinese infiltrators, and because the original NCIS is kind of a procedural. It's them investigating Navy-related crimes. But no,
right.
Los Angeles, no. Los Angeles has somebody trying to blow up Los Angeles every other week. Or they will travel to some distant country and they're going to blow up something there. They're usually blowing up stuff. And that's why I like it. Also, the actors at a the actors all gelled very well together, and it's like that. It's a team that you usually don't teamwork that you usually don't see in a cop show.
Here's a question. I was just about to say Supernatural, and that I watched all 15 seasons of. They did a real good job of keeping it going. They did a real good job, I thought, of keeping the series fresh and introducing new sort of conceptual monsters and villains in it. And often there was like an overall, like most modern TV shows, there was like an overall arc and then individual episodes too. They did a very good job with that. But one thing that drives me crazy, and this just comes up because and I just thought of this because my friend Bunch, he has a blog, and he's one of these people who like he doesn't write in it a lot, but every October he likes to do a horror movie a day sort of review on his blog, and he's got tons of them. And he was just reviewing an episode of Kolchak, the Night Stalker.
Mm-hmm.
And people always say about that, and they also said about the X-Files in the beginning, nobody would be interested if it's just a monster a week show. And I'm like, why not? It's like, do you know how many crime a week TV shows have been going on forever? I'm like, how come everybody always says, it's just a monster a week show. No one ever says it's only a crime a week show. People tune in to see that week's crime. People would tune in to see that week's monster too. I always found that a weird criticism of Kolchak the Night Stalker. It turned into a monster a week.
Yeah, but American cop shows, at least now, especially since Hill Street Blues, they try to give the characters some character arc.
Right.
British cop shows, there's no character arc.
No.
British cop shows is the same.
And something like Law and Order. Yeah. They now call them cozy murder shows.
Yeah.
Because nothing ever changes on them but the murder.
Yeah. And then every once in a while they have to replace the cop team because the actor's contract ran out. Yeah. But Midsummer Murders is the most milquetoast cop show in existence. And that thing has been going on for like 22 seasons in the UK.
Yeah. Law and Order. What are we on? See, I don't even know what season Law and Order is on since they brought it back. But that's like the original crime a week show. It's like that's been going on for 25 seasons. And nobody ever says, it's just a crime a week show. Everybody goes, it's a crime a week show. Yeah, but like
they have character arcs. They have character arcs in a Special Victims unit.
Yeah, Special Victims was the one they decided to do more about the cops' lives, which is why I never liked it and stopped watching it years and years ago.
Yeah,
I was like, and then there was the cops. Give me the case a week.
And then there was the one set in Los Angeles with Alfred Molina. Then they tried to do one about the judges, but that one didn't. That one nobody cared.
Right. Then I liked Criminal Intent.
Yeah, Criminal Intent was right because the Vincent D'Onofrio played a crazy character, so they even did away with the guy from Sex and the City because his episodes nobody wanted to watch. They just wanted to see Vincent D'Onofrio be crazy.
Yeah.
See that one was the other ones had character arcs. This one was only about one character. Right. Nobody else on that show mattered. It was all about the one character by Vincent D'Onofrio.
Vincent D'Onofrio chewing up the scenery.
Yeah.
But it was still about the crime every week, though.
Yeah, it's about how smart Vincent D'Onofrio is in figuring out the crime.
Yeah. Bobby, and the one woman who was as smart as him.
Yeah,
whose name I can't remember.
And then there was Los Angeles, which the only thing was it's Law and Order set in Los Angeles. They tried to make it relevant by having Alfred Molina as the main character.
There's a Canadian one now.
Mm-hmm. And there was one there was a British one too.
Right. They were redoing the American, but there's a new one. I've gotten it through the internet, but it's not on American TV. I think it's called Toronto Criminal Intent. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Another one I have to make a decision about. We have the Men in Letters Bunker and Supernatural is my favorite thing ever. Cool secret headquarters with history and a great add-on to the. Yeah, that was good. Like that was like season 8 or something. They had all of a sudden had this. They discovered something called the Men of Letters, who were sort of monster fighters in the 40s and 50s. But something happened to them, and they got wiped out, and that was part of the mystery. But they had this cool bunker that they used as their headquarters now, the Men of Letters bunker. That was neat. But another one I have to make a decision about, I think there's only 5 issues to this, though, is Flow. This is issue number 2. Nice covers on this, too. and I like the writing, but the art, the art and storytelling just kind of let me down a little. It's not terrible, but it's not as good as the covers, and I don't think the art is as good as the writing. I mean, there's some bland backgrounds right there. I mean, that page is as bland as it gets. And like I said, not terrible, just not, I don't know. But the covers might me like the story might keep me going. And it's the story, I guess you'd call it a horror story, because it takes, the past part takes place in this summer camp with this girl who has her first period, and the other and her mother just died or something. And so these three other girls in the camp, especially one of the three, decide to sort of play tricks on her, mean tricks. And so now we flash forward to, I don't know, 10 years later. They're all grown ups with jobs and careers, and weird supernatural things are happening. Like, let's show you this one. I'm gonna give away the last panel. Who cares? She opens her shirt and like a dead fish comes out of her dress, and it had something to do with a dead fish in the past where they were messing with this younger girl. So the story is pretty good. It's by the writer is Paula Sevenbergen. The artist is Claudia Balboni. The colorist is Fabi Marquez. And the letterer is Jody Troutman. And I like the story, but the art just kind of leaves me a little cold. And once again, it's a $5 comic. So do I want to continue with the story of a $5 comic where the art leaves me cold, even though I like the story? I don't know.
That depends on how much you care about that fish.
Yeah, and the covers. I do like these. I'm enjoying these covers. So, but still, it's a Mad Cave book. I might abandon it. And is it worth $15 more to me? Because I think there's 3 more issues. I don't know if it is. We'll have to see. I'll have to see how many comics I'm getting that week.
Should have waited for the trade.
No, because then I would have to pay for the whole trade and not. I would pay $20 for the trade and not like it.
Right, but you'd pay $5 less.
I know, but then I'd have 5. Then I have 5 issues I don't like that I have to get rid of instead of 2.
Right, but now you can sell it for somebody to somebody else, and it's a complete story.
You cannot sell trades. It's just too. You know where you can sell trades?
Mm-hmm.
On a stoop sale in Brooklyn. You can put a box of trade paperbacks out for $5 on your front stoop, and that's what people always did from Marvel. If they wanted to get rid of trades, they'd have a stoop sale. You can't sell them on eBay or Amazon and make any money at it. It's not worth your time. Because if you're selling a trade for $5 on eBay, that means you're getting $3.50 of it, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You got to pack it up. You got to mail it. So it's not. Yep. Is it really worth your time unless you're moving a mass amount of it? It is so. I've tried. It is so difficult to sell trades on eBay. And then the worst part about selling trades is now you're dealing with people looking for something for nothing. If you're selling like, a $50 comic book, people know what they're getting into, and they know this is a $50 comic book and they're going to have to pay $50 for it. Mm-hmm. There was one guy who bought it, once again, a $5 trade. I think the shipping on it was $3 at the time. And he was like, I want to return this. I think I bought the wrong trade. But then he found out he had to pay. If he wanted, I was like, okay, you can return it. But if you want to return something, you have to pay the postage. So the postage he had to pay on it, and you have to return it first class postage, not media mail, which is cheaper. So he found out he'd have to pay $5 to return this trade. So, he didn't bother. But it's like, that's what happens. It's like, if you paid $8 for a trade, Why bother returning? Oh, it was the wrong trade. So give it to someone. You really want your that's what you're dealing with when you're selling $5 trades on eBay. Can I have $1 off? This was damaged. What? What? I can remember once again, I was in my local comic shop, and he had a whole bunch of discounted $5 trades there. And some guy brought up a bunch of them and was like, can you do me a deal on these? And the guy was like, no, you're already getting a deal. They're 25% of their regular price. And I was like, oh, okay. And maybe people who are looking for something for nothing are the worst customers. No doubt about it.
That's still.
That's why I give the trades away to my students now.
The trades I'm going to see. The trades I'm going to see if I can sell them. I'm going to put them at 50% cover price. Yeah, but even then,
where are you going to sell them?
Probably comic book Facebook Marketplace.
Okay.
I'm a member of like 7 different comic book auction groups in Portugal.
Yeah.
And 80% of those comics are not sold. Even at $1.
Yeah. It's tough to sell individual comics too when the shipping on them is more than the comic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to find someone who really wants that one comic now to fill in a hole in their collection.
Yeah, that's why I suppose it could be easier with the trade, because they're if the original price is $20, I'm going to put it at 10. So 10 plus shipping, easier, I suppose. But yeah, 1 plus shipping, it becomes everything. Yeah. Some guys try to go for they try to buy 5 comics or so they can. There's a lot of things from Portuguese publishers from the 70s, which are mostly Phantom and Mandrake in black and white. And there are people who like to collect those. Even I like to buy some every once in a while. Every 5 years or so, I go to this fair and I pick up and go through all of those issues and try to get 15 for $10 or something. But yeah, they get one bid. So they've sold for like 152 or 2 euros, and then you have to pay double for if you add the.
I was just buying more markers this week off of eBay, but cheap ones this time. More, not the Pantone ones I was buying, but different dye-based ones. I mean, pigment-based ones to add to them, which don't have refills. So, but they're these pit brush pens, and there was some guy just selling like 6 loose markers, in 2 auctions. The opening bid was 99 cents. And I think it may have had like $5 shipping on it. And I was like, nobody's going to bid on these but me. And like, nobody wants these loose markers. I just know it. So I bid 99 cents on both of them or whatever, and got them both for 99 cents. It was one of those things where I wasn't even going to ask him to combine shipping. Because I was like, you know what? I'll pay $10 shipping for these 12 markers, which I know, he's not making any money off of. If he, so I was like, I'll just get, I don't care. I don't need to save five. The guy's already not making money off of this auction, much money. He can have he can make the money off of shipping from me. No problem. So sometimes I'm like that. I'm like, I don't even want to buy, it's for a price I'd pay. I don't need to ask to combine shipping on a 99-cent auction.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But aren't the markers half spent? Or
No, they're supposed to be new.
okay.
But
So
they're
the guy
loose.
bought
I don't
markers
know.
that he never used.
Yeah.
And it's
People do that
Chris
all the
Giroso.
time.
Yeah.
Chris, people do that all the time. Like if they're loose, I'm taking a chance. You're right.
Mm.
But we'll see. $12 is worth a chance just to have some of these, all these yellow markers.
Okay.
How are you doing tonight, Chris?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
I'm scared out of my mind because of all of ghosts.
Ah, that's right. Ghosts. It's Halloween night. No trick-or-treaters at the studio?
Nope. Just ghosts.
Just ghosts. I was just watching the TV show Ghosts.
Who are you going to call?
Goat Busters.
Ghosts.
I don't have no goat. I don't need a goat. Do you remember that classic?
Ghosts live on farms.
My goat is doing fine.
But I don't have a farm. I don't have a farm, and I don't have a goat. A goat is doing fine.
There we go. So I pulled out something to read this week. Turns out I haven't read this since 2020. I gave another read to David Mazzucchelli, Asterius Polyp. And I have to say, I like this better every time I read it. And, whoops, do you remember we were talking a month or two ago about if there was a book you could teach in high school literature class, like a comic? I think this is it. I think you could teach this in a high school literature class, just like you teach, Catcher in the Rye or something.
Uh-huh.
There's kind of that much in it. And it's one of those books where the plot doesn't really do it justice because there's just so much stuff going on in it. But the basic plot is, have you ever read Asterius Polyp, either of you guys?
It's always the next book. For me, it's always the next.
and I notice more things in it. And I've kind of looked through it before between now and 2000, but this is the first time I've actually sat down and read it since 2000. And this is the one that, if I remember, I talked about it 5 years ago when I talked about it. I think it came out in 2008. And when Asterius Polyp here, this takes place just as he's turning 50. And when I first read it, I was younger than Asterius Polyp. The second time I read it in 2000, I was older than Asterius Polyp. And now, of course, I'm even older than him. And I think that changed me getting older than the character also changed my perspective on him. But there's just so much. This is really, it's a masterwork to me. And it starts out with Asterius Polyp is a architect. He teaches in Ithaca, New York, at a college. He teaches architecture. He is a well-renowned architect. He's a success. He's a well-renowned architect. He's written influential books, but he's also what they call a paper architect because he's never had a building built. So he teaches up in Ithaca, New York. but he also has an apartment in Manhattan. And it's the book starts with a lightning strike. So lightning hits his apartment in Manhattan somehow and burns it down. So he loses everything he's ever had. He gets on I think he got on a bus. He went to the bus station with some money, said, "How far will this take me?" So he went on a bus trip and just got off the bus at right near a garage. He said to the garage had a help wanted sign out. He's like, "Hey, you need help? Can I get a job with you?" And the guy's like, "Well, do you know about cars?" He's like, "Not a ton." And he's like, "But I'll learn." And the guy's like, "All right, we'll give you a try." And then Asterius said, "Can I go have lunch first?" He said, "Sure." And Asterius went to the library and looked up a whole bunch of books on automotive care. And that's how kind of the story starts. So you're like, is this guy just left his life? And then, of course, it goes back and flashes back. It tells you. And the story is narrated by Asterius Polyp had a twin brother who was stillborn. And so he's kind of always haunted Asterius his whole life. And that brought me to the question, if you had a twin who was stillborn, would you want to know? I don't know that I'd want to know. Because that might be something that haunts you your whole life. But that twin is the narrator of our story. Like, I can't think. I would think if I had a twin who was stillborn, and I knew that would haunt me. That would be. I'd always be thinking about my whole life. I'd be thinking about my twin, which he does too. He thinks about it, about what it. And
don't let it you up, Jared.
What was that?
Don't let it eat you up.
I'll try not to. But he might haunt me on tonight. Tonight, it's Halloween.
It's going to be a ghost.
But it flashed back because it flashed back to his, beginning of to him being a teacher, some of his teaching style. And it turns out he had a wife. And it flashed back to who was a fellow teacher at this Ithaca college. And she was, and some of the things he does with the art, we get a little bit of his architectural philosophy there. And sometimes the art diverges into
a yellow wood.
Where's the place where it diverges? He's kind of, here we go. She's kind of sketchier because she's a sculptor who's a little more loosey-goosey, and he gets this blue line, rigid drawing when he's being rigid. So there's stuff going on with the art. And if I remember, I read this somewhere. If you notice, let me see if I can get a big shot of Asterios' head. There we go. That's Asterius Polyp. And he always drew the head with ellipse templates. So he had one ellipse template for the face and one for the top of the head, so that he was the same all the time. There was a certain rigidity to him. So he never drew his face kind of freehand. It was always with templates in the same. I found that an interest. I wouldn't have noticed that unless I read him do it. So it's about him and his wife, and there's so many layers to it. Because he also when he gets off and gets the job at the gas station, he stays in a room with the owner of the gas station, this big happy-go-lucky guy, and his wife and kid. So he's like staying in their house. He's renting a room from them. And the wife becomes a character in the book too. And she's this, believes she's lived before, so she's had past lives. She believes in astrology. She believes in all this spiritual stuff. And she's as strong a personality as a serious polyp is.
Mhm.
So he's got this sort of rigid worldview, but so does she, but in a different way. And he's one of the themes in here is he was never a bad guy, but he kind of was a stronger personality than his wife and overlooked her sometimes. As he says in the end, what happened to your marriage? He says, I think I broke it. And at one point, like he's a big star on campus too, and his wife's not. At one time, this crazy artsy producer comes on. I forget his name. He's one of the characters in here too, who was like, "Oh, I love your work. I want to produce I want you to work on my latest play." And Asterius is like, "I'm really not interested." And the guy was like, "I'm not talking to you." So he was talking to his wife, who he wanted to help him with his play. So she jumps at the opportunity. And Asterius gets kind of jealous of this guy he's this kind of weaselly little guy and who's always kind of making making passes at Asterius's wife, and she's kind of ignoring him. But he's not the kind of guy who's threatening, because he's this weaselly little looking producer who's kind of flaky. But like there's this one point when he's arguing with his wife, and she's like, "How come you never stopped him from talking to me that way?" That never even occurred to Asterius to say, "Don't talk to my wife that way." Because he's not used to paying that close of attention to her. So there's like so much depth here. And there's even like this. This is kind of his. They don't actually show him breaking up with his wife. Instead, they've got this whole chapter. There's Cerberus. They've got this whole chapter where he's taking a journey through hell in the New York City subway to try and rescue his wife. So I think this is all a metaphor for him his marriage breaking up. But it's not well, it's kind of obvious, but it's not spoken out loud. Really, this whole chapter is a metaphor. And then let's see, his wife. He tries to rescue his wife from hell. And like his one shield is this architectural square made like a harp. He tries to rescue her, but eventually he can't, and she like disappears into hell. And I think that's supposed to be the end of their marriage. Like there's a lot to ponder in this. Like you could teach a high school class in this one easy. There's a lot to ponder. There's an ending that's kind of a little strange. I wonder if it's real or not. So it's just like this whole. It's just really well. It's one of these. I said I never hear anybody talk about this, but this to me is also a book you could give somebody who doesn't read comics and they might like it. Because there's so much going on.
Do you think somebody who's never read a comic would pick it up of their own volition?
No. Somebody who's never read a comic will never pick up a comic of their own volition, I don't think.
Right.
That's the problem.
At what age?
I think, like you could teach this in a high school class along with Catcher in the Rye or something.
Sure.
There's enough in it.
But if a kid's been reading comics for a few years, at what age do you think that they would be interested in trying that out?
High school. I mean, they might not get it because he's 50 years old, and a lot of it is about regret. But we make kids read Gatsby, and that's really a little too old for them too.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of regret in that. Regret's something and change. is something that I don't know how kids. Some will. I mean, I'm sure some will get it and relate to it.
Yeah.
But there's enough like symbolism and stuff to talk about to teach them how to break down literature and comics that I think that you could at least keep the interest of most of them.
When that thing came out, I'm not sure if I've been interested in picking it up for a few years. Mostly because, it is a big investment all at once because that thing's big.
Yeah.
But when that thing came out, I was 29. I'm not sure.
2009.
2009. Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure I would have picked it up. I mean, I might have been interested in going through it because I am familiar with David Mazzucchelli's name from Daredevil and Batman. But I'm not sure at the time I would be ready for. I'm not sure. I'm not sure at the time I would be ready to make the leap to something like that because I was not an experimental reader.
Right. I liked it when it first came out, but I've only grown to like it more and more and seen sort of more depth in it as I've read it over the years. There's one of those you can just look at too. The art in it. He's got a lot of interesting things going. He's doing a lot of interesting things with the art that other people just don't do. It doesn't look like a normal comic either.
Yeah, Mazzucchelli was away from comics for a relatively large amount of time, and when he came back, he was that. So to those of us who remember him from the superhero days, that would have been quite a shock.
Yeah.
Although now that you've shown some pages, and I probably wouldn't have noticed then, but I noticed now. I noticed some storytelling techniques of Mazzucchelli that were present during the Daredevil Born Again run.
Yeah, there's so much technique in here. It's amazing how much. And I don't think he's done anything since this.
He did a few. I think they were concurrent. So he did comic adaptations of Paul Auster's novels.
Oh, that's right. That was a while ago. There's just so much to see. So much to see. Good stuff. Like I said, I'm happy I read it again. It's really. I wish more people would have read. More people who like comics would have read this because it's excellent. And like I said, I never hear it mentioned ever.
Really? It's funny. I have a bunch of people
tell you
here.
The last time I've heard it mentioned.
Oh.
Besides me mentioning it, that's it.
Yeah, I find it out because it's not a regular occurrence, but there are a few people that I know who have read Asterios Polyp and like it very much.
Yeah. And like all my friends who love him from Batman and Daredevil have never read Asterios Polyp. It wouldn't be their thing.
Yeah. So when that thing came out, I'm not sure I would be ready to read it. To me, it's mostly been the price point that's been an obstacle.
Let's see, how much was this in 2009? Is there a price on it? $29.95, I think it was then.
Yeah.
According to the UPC.
Yeah, $30 hardcover in 2009.
Yeah. Not a cheap one. But like I said, this is one. I probably got it for my Christmas or birthday because it was probably on my Amazon list.
On the other hand, that thing's what, 340 pages?
Yeah, it's big.
So yeah,
it doesn't have page numbers, but it's big.
I can't complain that it wouldn't be value for money when it comes to price per page.
And even there's so much sort of there's more reread value to this than your average comic.
Right.
And there's one. I'm gonna have to find the line in here. There's one line that really stuck with me in this read too, where I can't remember if it was Asterios or his dead brother saying something like in our own lives we're the main character, but in most everybody else's life we're just a bit player. You have to be able to get used to being a bit player. Because you can't go around thinking you're the main character when you're not. And I think that had something to do with Asterios' sort of arrogance and rigidity.
Yeah. I bought Jimmy Corrigan around the time that the Asterios Polyp came out. I couldn't get past page 4.
No. If you want to read Jimmy Corrigan, read it. I don't want to read Jimmy. Right. Put it down, you read a page, you put it down, you read a page the next day, you put it down, you read a page the next day. That it read beautifully to me like that, because I couldn't get rid of it for get through it for a decade at least.
Yeah, I was trying to read it, and man, nothing goes on. I have this friend who says, I can't read Jimmy Corrigan unless I'm in a really good mood. Otherwise, I'm going to kill myself.
Page a day, couple of pages a day, even 2-3 pages maybe. Put it down. But a lot of books you can read like that. Yeah. Have you read anything lately, Chris?
No.
You didn't have any time to at those conventions, a few down minutes where you could pick up a comic from a person nearby you and give it a read?
That's the absolute worst time to read something.
You might be right. I do like to read most of my stuff sort of like in that chair right back there, nice and calm, rather than out someplace. Though I have read stuff. I read on the train, but my new comics for the first time, I don't think I want to read on the train. I want to read.
That's the environment where I get where people engage with me more than any other place ever.
Okay.
So yeah, let's sit and try to read something.
I'm just saying there might be downtime. I've seen people at cons before. I've been at cons. Sometimes you're like, I'm just sitting here. And if you had if you were holding up some super popular comic, someone might come over to you and go, "Oh, I love that comic. If you love that comic, you should check out this one." I'm full of techniques that'll never work. What are you working on tonight?
That might have worked. Working on a recreation of this. Uncanny X-Men 281.
Nice. And where might that have worked? You were saying that technique? My technique, you said that might have worked at.
Any year other than this one. But the variant covers have completely changed my convention experience in a complete, like, it's like nothing I've experienced before.
Oh, the remarks? Or the...
Yeah, the remarks, the variant covers, all of it.
The Marvel Universe ones?
Yeah.
Oh, people are loving those official handbook covers and bringing them over to you?
Yeah, a lot of that. A lot of dealers trying to clean me out.
Oh, that's right. You mentioned that. You were selling your remarks too cheap.
Yeah. But I'd rather sell it than not sell it. So.
Yeah. Sleepy Reader said changed in a good way?
Yeah.
In a good way. He was getting some attention. Now he needs to turn that attention into a little more cash.
Exactly.
You know what's weird? I got an email today from, occasionally I get these Instagram partnership emails or something like that. And I'm always like, you know what? I'm no influencer. I hardly have anyone looking at my videos or whatever. So I'm always like, what scam is this? But this one was, hey, we liked your videos on comics. I really like the way you did it. And I was like, is that AI or did they actually watch a video? I don't know. But then their whole thing, and it took me a minute to figure this out. They were like, oh, we do cruises. And do you want to be like a comic book leader on a cruise or something like that? We usually, our cruise leaders make, 6 to 12K a cruise or something like that. And I'm like, what? They want me to go on a cruise and lead a bunch of comic book fans to do what? And I'm trying to, and it took me 2 reads, I think it was, at least 2 reads, maybe 3, to figure out. I think what they were trying to do is get me to sign up to lead the whole, they weren't going to pay somebody to lead a cruise. They were going to get you to sign up, and then you find all the people who are going to sign up for the cruise. And
Right.
then they do all the work with the cruise ship, setting everything up. But it's like, you're the one who has to go and find 30 people who want to go on a cruise with you. And I was like, oh, okay, that's the scam. They want me to hustle up customers. Well, I don't have that much influence. But it took me, I was contemplating it for a little while, going, what is going on here? Because there's no way somebody's going to pay me $12,000 to lead a cruise. Why would they? From watching a couple of my comic book haul videos. No. They wanted me to find all the customers, and they'd be the travel agent. It's like, oh, okay, now I get the scam. But that was a new one to me.
Yeah, there are a few nerd cruises, but yeah, there are a few nerd cruises, but they don't actually care about comic books. It's mostly for gamers.
Yeah,
and that Filk band, Paul and Storm. There's one, there's Jocko Cruise, and Paul and Storm always perform there.
Huh.
You've heard of Paul and Storm?
No, I don't think so.
So they did a song about George R.R. Martin not finishing the Song of Fire and Ice books. It's called "Write Like the Wind." They did a song about the inventor of the chicken nugget. They have one where they about fighting nuns, and their most famous song is about pirates. And it's the Captain's Wife's Lament, and the recorded version is 2.5 minutes. The live version is at 27 minutes if they're in a rush to finish the concert. Otherwise, it can go past 40. Because I've seen a bunch of them. There was a time when the two of them plus Will Wheaton and the bald guy, the not bald guy from the Discovery show where they blew up stuff.
Oh, okay.
Mythbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamie Savage.
Something like that. Yeah. And they organized something parallel to the San Diego Comic-Con. which was called Woodstock, and they would have some science fiction writers write something that they would read, and there would be those bands that did a nerdcore. They'd play a song. There would be a few guest people. Will Wheaton once got twice William Shatner to do a bit with them.
Adam Savage,
yeah. And
I used Heidelman.
Yeah. And they did Woodstock they did Woodstock for like 6 or 7 years. And I would actually like to watch those on YouTube. So I started to become a fan of Paul and Storm. But they go on that just to say that they went on that Jocko cruise, which is a cruise where a bunch of nerds get together, and when they're not playing video games, they're watching nerdcore bands.
You know what? I could see being able to set up a cruise. Deep nerdism. I barely know it exists. Yeah, I could see setting up a cruise around a TV personality. That would make sense. Setting up a cruise around my comic book haul videos makes far less sense.
I don't know. Damien the Cavern. Yeah.
I think if I tried to set up a cruise around my comic book haul videos, I will attract 0 customers.
Yeah, yeah, but if we hire Chris here to do sketches live in front of an audience, maybe.
I think maybe we could get 2 customers with Chris. At least.
At least. Maybe
which
7.
Is better than 0.
Well, maybe not a cruise, but something about whale watching.
Another thing I got this week that was pretty good was Voyeur number 2. Another Ignition Press book.
Made by Italians whose last name you can't pronounce.
No, this one was Leah Williams and David Baldioni. He's got an accent. So Baldioni?
Yes.
There's no E on the end. I don't know where I got the E from in my head.
Baldeon, yeah. That's in Spanish. So, but I don't know. Actually, let's find out.
This one, I got the first issue and liked it, so I ordered the second one. Here's some terrific artwork and coloring right here. They did a great job with this beach sunset scene. And there was also some terrific... the artwork was terrific in general in this, especially the outside scenes. The color was just bright and fun and bouncy. The inside scenes are a little duller and grayer because it's inside a security thing. But, and here's a cover I like. Where'd it come from? A new book, Arcadia number 1. I don't know what that is, but I like that cover. Yeah. I might buy that one just because of the cover. But the first issue of this was from the man's point of view, where we saw this guy who is on an island somewhere, and he's the head of security at this hotel in this, I forget what island they're on in the Caribbean or whatever, and he's kind of watching this woman until she figures out that she's being watched by him and busts into a security thing, and then recognizes him as a international art thief. So she's like, "Ooh, you're stealing something, huh? Let me in on this deal." And then this issue is told the same story from her point of view. She's an art dealer in New York City who makes a long trip to this island for whatever reason and just discovers this guy. And she's like, "Oh, I didn't know this famous international art thief is really hot too." So now it's about them. They're going to team up and steal some art from this hotel, that famously has a lot of good art. So good first issue, good second issue. think I'll put that one on my pull list. And like I said, I really liked the art in it, so that was good.
By the way, David Baldeón is from northern Spain.
Aha.
From a region called Cantabria, which has which has tall mountains and is cold. People think that Spain is a tropical weather, but in Cantabria it's very cold. You get North Atlantic.
The two parts of Spain I ever hear about are, of course, Spain on the Mediterranean, the Basque region, which is up north, and maybe the French border with Spain.
Yeah,
sometimes I hear about, but that's it. That's never hear about cold in Spain ever. Spaghetti westerns were not cold.
But they were filmed in Andalusia, which is on the south.
Yep.
Cantabria is where the Bay of Biscayne is. So you have Cantabria. Then to the right you have what's that region called? Why do I forget that? Forgot. Asturias, right? And to the right of Asturias, you have the Basque Country, which is in the border, which is in the western part of the border with France.
I was just what was the? I was just watching a video on blood types, and specifically Rh negative blood types, I think it is. Because they were explaining that Rh negative blood type, Rh is like a protein around the blood, and Rh negative means you don't have that protein around your blood. But there's like a really small percentage of humanity that is Rh negative. Usually is somewhere around 5%, something like that. And they have no idea why. It's like not a trait that anyone is like knows anything that's connected to. And it developed in all these different populations. It's not like we had one ancestor that had Rh negative blood and passed it down. And I think they said in Asia, it's even lower. It's like 2% are Rh negative. Except for, once again, those Basques are like 30% Rh negative. And no one has any idea why. No idea why.
Must be the Neanderthal DNA.
Yeah. They don't know. Like, there wasn't one far back ancestor that had Rh. It developed independently over different regions. Could be as far as they can tell.
The last Neanderthal stronghold was in the Iberian Peninsula. They lasted until 30,000 years ago.
Right.
And simultaneously, the Iberian Peninsula was one of the refuges for humanity during the last ice age. And one of the most common Y chromosome haplotypes in Western Europe comes from that ancient human population in Spain, but it's no longer the most common haplotype in Spain. It's the most common haplotype in Belgium and Wales.
DNA has changed the way we study human migration.
Yeah.
Type O negative.
Yeah, I'm type O positive. My mom is type O negative. No, my mom is type A negative. My sister is type O negative. Yeah.
And there are new issues this week of both Feral and Radiant Black.
All right. More zombie cats.
More zombie cats. Oops, that's this one. Which hand is it? More zombie cat. There's a big battle in the store between zombie cats, good cats, and bad cats. And Radiant Black has this new
Ooh, Kirby.
Corporate government-backed superhero who's using technology, alien technology from the Radiant Black stuff to kind of take over superhero-dom. So good stuff. Both of the, these are both regulars, issue 17 and issue 38. So I don't have a lot new to say about either of these, except I'm still buying them. I'm still enjoying them. And that counts for something, darn it.
You would think that that zombie cat, the zombie cat's motive, would get tiresome after a few issues.
No, they're treating it just like The Walking Dead or something. The zombie cats. Oh, I mean the non-zombie cats always have something new to figure out, some new way to have to survive. So they've kept the story going. Captain Finity no longer believes in humanity being one continuous line of progress. All the world's a circle, sunrise and sundown.
Because nobody knows how and why the Great Pyramid of Giza was built. How it was built by laborers.
They know why.
Yeah. Why? It's a parking lot for the alien spaceships.
All the world's a circle, sunrise.
At least that's what they told me according to Stargate SG-1.
Mm-hmm.
Which also had comics, but they weren't very good.
And it's really not hard to figure out how ancient people moved rocks. They did it in a variety of ways. We can still move rocks. It doesn't take magic to move rocks.
Yeah.
It's a little engineering.
Yeah, and friction. A lot of friction.
Or lack thereof.
You need them to slide.
Did you ever see that In Search Of? There's an In Search Of from the 70s where, once again, it's one of these how did they build the pyramids things. And they showed some guy in Florida who built his own and he was moving these giant stones around all by himself.
Mm-hmm.
He was an engineer and he figured out how to move them.
Yeah.
He would use counterweights and balls to move. You can find all sorts of ways how to move big rocks on the internet these days. I'm still not moving big rocks.
Nobody can do it with modern technology. Yes, they can. It's very easy to build a pyramid.
Yeah.
I
built pyramids is the most stable shape you can build.
Yeah. I used to build pyramids all the time on the beach when I was 5.
Yeah. The idea that we don't know how they built the pyramids is nonsense. We even know how they cut the stone. I was just seeing this the other day. It's been around. There's an obelisk in situ, a 100-ton obelisk in the rock. They probably were working on it for years, and they almost had it all the way cut out, and it cracked. So it's still there. We know exactly how they did it because it's still there. Mm-hmm. Don't believe all those mystery shows you see.
Yeah, yeah. Also, Graham Hancock is not even a fraud. He's a complete clown show nowadays. Just because he goes on Joe Rogan doesn't mean he's right.
No.
I've read a Graham Hancock book once. That man is devious. I was reading, I can't remember exactly what, but I was reading a part of the book, and that led me to a conclusion. And 2 chapters after that, he introduces that conclusion that I had reached. You were getting me to believe your stuff by introducing the idea before in a disguised manner.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they do. It's very simple to build a pyramid. It's the easiest thing you can build is a pyramid.
Yeah, it's the most stable form to build.
Right.
Is a pyramid.
It's the
That's
one
why they're built all over the world.
Yeah, it doesn't fall. Yeah. A tower falls.
a building falls, a pyramid doesn't fall. You
I
have to
always
go up.
There was one of those mystery shows had a quote by, of course, the skeptic that always stuck with me. I always he's like, yeah, because these aliens, they built up their own civilization. They figured out how to travel faster than light. They traveled all the way across the universe to find us, and then they taught us how to stack rocks.
Yeah.
I was like, when you put it that way, it really doesn't make any sense, does it? They taught us how to stack rocks.
Hey, monkeys, watch this. One rock, two rocks. Now, one rock on top of the other two rocks. See? Mm-hmm. Yeah, or
and
the
they
one
know
where
they cut the stone with sand.
Yeah.
That was one of their keys to cutting the hard stone, was to put sand in the groove that they were sawing. They can do it today.
Yeah, it's called the sander. Everybody who does wood projects at home has one.
Now I've got Harry Chapin going through my head. All the world's a circle. Sunrise and sundown. The moon rolls through the nighttime till the daybreak comes around.
Do we have a read, rip, or slab?
Of course. What decade do you want?
I don't know. Chris, tell us your favorite decade.
80s.
80s.
The 80s.
Let's go
Let me see what I got in the 80s.
That's right.
Work RSS 57. Let's try. We're going to go to June 1984.
All right.
Let's see what I usually do. Drop that into there. Come on, where'd you go? There it is. I gotta go back to here. Let me share my screen. All right, there you go. Did it show up? Do I have to hit present? There we go. I have to hit present.
There we go. And here we are.
Detective Comics 542, Parents Cullens and Dick Giordano cover. Bernie Wrightson, Master of the Macabre, number 4.
Didn't you use this one before?
Did I? I don't recognize it. Huh. Incredible Hulk 299 for Frank Sirocco.
You use it's not every day that you use a Paris Cullens cover, but you used one a few months ago.
Was it this one? I don't think it was this one.
Yeah, I don't remember the Bernie Wrightson cover. Although the Hulk seems familiar as well.
Frank Sirocco.
Doesn't matter.
Because I don't remember.
Okay.
So
yeah, I don't remember the Bernie Wrightson cover.
Already has his done. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna rip Batman. Slab Bernie, because he wants to turn a $1 comic into a $30 comic.
I'm going to rip Batman because I'm really not sure about that Paris Cullens cover.
Do you think you could rip it in such a way that you could separate Batman and Robin and Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson? You'd have to kind of rip on a curve a little bit, but I think it could be done.
Yes, at an angle, not a very deep angle, but you could. Yeah, I'm going to. I'm going to do the same as Tit Goblin. I'm going to read Hulk, rip Batman, and slap Bernie. That I think it's next issue that Doctor Strange sends the Hulk to the Crossroads
for Hulk 300.
Yeah.
I usually turn $30 by ripping and reading them. Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out that Batman and Robin, that Batman cover.
Yeah,
I suppose what it's saying is Batman and Robin are like breaking up.
Yeah, and that's Jason. So, but it's still a couple of years before Jason dies.
Oh, so that's Batman, and like that's the ghost of Robin behind Jay. Because I was like, Robin looks a little small next to Batman.
Yeah,
that's it. But wouldn't it be the
that's
beginning?
Not Dick.
That's not Dick Grayson, right?
No, because Dick's been or not. No, I think.
Is it trying to say this is the? It's just a. I just find that cover to have the end to be a weird message on that cover. Because is it saying this is the end of of Batman and Robin, but he's got a new Robin right there.
Yeah. Right, because it takes Jason home, and Dick's about to go to college because he also gives up leadership of the New Teen Titans around that time, and he comes back as Nightwing a couple of months later.
So I guess we're supposed to be feeling nostalgic about the end of the Batman and Robin team up.
Yeah, nobody was.
But it's a question mark.
People only like Dick in the New Teen Titans.
Yeah, I'm just thinking the end question mark is a weird bit of cover copy for that comic.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's doing what they want it to do, and it's in a weird spot.
Yeah, the Bernie Wrightson cover doesn't tell me anything. That's why it gets slabbed.
I think I'm going to slab that Hulk cover. I like that Frank Sirocco Hulk cover.
Yeah,
which means I'm going to read Bernie Wrightson and rip Batman.
Yeah, there's very little Frank Sirocco in the mainstream comics. And I guess he didn't stay in comics for long. I know him from Alien Legion.
I'm going to replace that skeletal mummy with a skeletal dolphin.
Interesting. I'm going to replace Jason with the dolphin, but he keeps Jason's clothes.
Because if you notice, those clothes reflect Robin's costume. Mm-hmm. They're sending us a message.
Yeah. And the flamingos go on the Hulk cover, one on each side of Doctor Strange's barrier.
See, I was thinking of putting one on each head. So the flamingos are kind of facing off too. The only other place I could put them is one on each shoulder of Bernie Wrightson's zombie.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be doing. Yeah, but they wouldn't be doing anything there. Hulk covers the best place to put them. Yeah,
they just be going. What is this? What is that creature on the cover on the Bernie Wrightson? Is that a mummy? Is that a zombie? Is that a? I think like the piece of fabric over his face leads me to believe it's a mummy, but not much else is wrapped.
Well, he's mummified because it's all dried up.
Yeah, he certainly looks dead and emaciated.
Yeah.
But why has he only got one? I guess he wanted the haunting eyes and the hands like that.
Yeah, but I wouldn't pick up that issue of Bernie Wrightson. But I guess I could make a poster out of it.
I might have it. Mm-hmm. Listen, that issue came. This was the only place you were getting Wrightson in June of 1984.
Yeah, Donald Rex says Frank Sirocco was a prolific fanzine artist from way back in the early 70s. Yeah.
Oh, I did not.
But he never did much as a pro. I think I know him from Alien Legion, and after that, zip.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, if you wanted Bernie Wrightson in 1984, you weren't getting a lot of Bernie. Like I remember getting at least a couple issues of that series, and It was like reprints from other places too.
Right.
But I remember that, I wanted to try, because what was Bernie Wrightson famous for in 1984? Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
Couldn't really find those. I mean, they came out a decade ago. Frankenstein, I think I got at that time. But it's not like there were a lot of choices if you were interested in Bernie Wrightson. What did... I'm trying to think of Wrightson. Did he do Marvel work before 1984?
Here and there.
Little bits, right? But
right. But he never anything that he got famous for, because Marvel had Mike Plug, so they didn't need Bernie Wrightson.
Right.
But there is Wrightson stuff at Marvel.
And the composition of that Detective Comics is just so weird.
Yeah, he did a gargoyle story in A Chamber of Darkness #7, which is the cover story, but he didn't do. He did the cover as well. So this is 1970, so he wasn't famous yet. Creatures on the Loose #10, he did the cult story. And Submariner #36. But after that, it's mostly DC. He did a lot of stuff at Warren. I imagine that it's those Warren stories that are getting reprinted in the miniseries. Yeah, the Warren in the early '80s. Yeah.
Yeah, I never saw Warren stuff though.
No,
they weren't even on the newsstands near me.
Yeah, I have some stuff here mid-70s, creepy and eerie. Mike's Amazing World list stuff from 1974 to 77, but I bet there are a few extras.
They're just, like I said, I remember buying some issues of that in the early '80s because it was the only Wrightson stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like he was doing any books for Marvel and DC from like 1980 to 1984.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I think they may have reprinted some of the Swamp Thing around that time.
Mm-hmm.
I may have had some of that, but like I said, everything I had that was Wrightson was reprint.
Yeah, and then he did that graphic novel at Marvel, that Spider-Man graphic novel, Hookie.
Yeah,
the one that was written by a science fiction writer that nobody had heard of.
I think that came out a little later though. That was like '86 or something.
Yeah. Hookie came out '86. Yeah, Susan K. Putney.
I wasn't even interested in.
Yeah, the thing. Back in the day, Jim Shooter told a story in his blog how that story came about. Because Susan K. Putney sent a treatment for or a full script or something like that for a Spider-Man graphic novel. And it was not a typical Spider-Man story. It was some sort of fantasy story with Spider-Man. I'm not sure that Putney knew exactly what Spider-Man was about, but Shooter found the idea intriguing and gave it to Wrightson to turn into to do the storytelling based on Putney's proposal, and then they put it out. And I once found Susan K. Putney's website. So she was doing local short stories that were published locally. She had a novel published by Dell or something back in 1974. But not much from her. She doesn't seem to have done much that was interesting. So anything that she did was, I don't know.
Yeah,
like Rats Drove Collectors then today. Yeah,
the image guys ruined that.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of, like I said, I was at Marvel at the time, and they said we're never going to promote artists and make stars of them again. And that became industry standard.
Wrightson also did the big change, that whole thing, that graphic novel with the Hulk and the Thing, written by Starlin.
Yeah.
That the one that ends. They got a. They both got a. They were told to fight, but then they both got a wish, and Hulk said, "Hulk want to go home and have food to eat," because Ben was going to ask to be turned into a human again. But Hulk said, Hulk would go home, and they're back on Earth over a pile of hamburgers, and the Hulk is back home. Hulk has food. Hulk is happy.
Remember the Thing suit from the 70s?
Yeah.
I don't know. I always found that weird and kind of cool. He was back to being human, so he put on this giant suit that made him the Thing.
Yeah. After he complained about being sidelined by Luke Cage.
Right.
Luke Cage had been a
Step
member
aside.
of the team.
Power Man is coming through.
Go away, fantastic honkies. And after that, he went after Dr. Doom.
Oh, that's right. Where's my money?
All right. Should we wrap it up?
It's time to wrap it up.
Yes.
Get yourself some mysterious pop. Some balloons.
I'm already on winter time, but I think you guys are changing the clocks this weekend.
Tomorrow night we fall back. Is that it?
Yeah. You get an extra hour of sleep.
You get an extra hour, so I won't, and it'll be dark earlier.
Yeah.
And I remember I was teaching a Monday morning class a couple years ago when I realized my students didn't even know the time had changed because they got no devices that they have to change. All their devices automatically change.
Right.
So it's not like that. Not like we always had to turn the clocks back and everything. And I still have clocks to change. They just had their phones and their computers, which time changed. So then you notice.
Right. You just you have to go to the kitchen clock and manually change it.
Yep.
But nobody has.
Yep. They didn't have a kitchen clock. All right. Well, everyone out there have a good one.
Yeah, that's right. See you later next week on your channel.
My channel next week. We'll be on there. We're catching it. No balloons for Chris.
No balloons. Give me balloons.
Confetti.
I'm not good enough for balloons.
Nope. I got lasers. I got confetti. Nothing for the one hand? I can't remember. Oh, well.
Okay.
Everyone have a good night out there.
Bye-bye.